Så tænkte jeg, at jeg ville give en klasse for, hvor vi er i Bhagavatam. Så jeg fik at vide, så godt tekst 30 i går. Så det jeg tænker mig at gøre, det er at læse frem til det første vers, der har en kommentar. Og det vil så være tekst 35. Så jeg vil læse tekst 31 til 34 selv, og så kan vi recitere tekst 35 sammen. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
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 Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Vasudevaya.
Yeah, so it will just be the English translation of the first verses. Text 31. There are men and women in this world who sacrifice human beings to Bhairava or Bhadrakali and then eat their victims' flesh. Those who perform such sacrifices are taken after death to the abode of Yamaraj, where their victims, having taken the form of Rakshasas, cut them to pieces with sharpened swords. Just as in this world, the man-eaters drank their victims' blood, dancing and singing in jubilation, the victims now enjoy drinking the blood of the sacrificers and celebrating in the same way. Text 32. In this life, some people give shelter to animals and birds that come to them for protection in the village or forest, and after making them believe that they will be protected, such people pierce them with lances or threads and play with them like toys, giving them great pain. After death, such people are brought by the assistance of Yamaraj to the hell known as Shulaprota, where their bodies are pierced with sharp, needle-like lances. They suffer from hunger and thirst, and sharp-beaked birds, such as vultures and herons, come at them from all sides to tear at their bodies. Tortured and suffering, they can remember the sinful activities they committed in the past. Text 33. Those who in this life are like envious serpents, always angry and giving pain to other living entities, fall after death into the hell known as Dambashuka. My dear king, in this hell there are serpents with 5 or 7 hoods. These serpents eat such sinful persons, just as snakes eat mice. Text 34. Those who in this life confine other living entities in dark wells, granaries, or mountain caves are put after death into the hell known as Avata Nirodhana. There they themselves are pushed into dark wells where poisonous fumes and smoke suffocate them, and they suffer very severely. Text 34. Yastvihava atitin abhyagatan va grihapati asakrit upagatamanyur tidakshur iva papena chakshusha nirikshate tasya chapi niraye papadriste akshini vajratunda griddaha kanka kaka vatadayaha prasayuro balad uthatayanti. And again, recite the word by word together. Yaha,
Yaha,
a person who, to, but, iha, in this life, va, or, atiti, guests, abhyagata, visitors, va, or, grihapati, a householder, asakrit, many times, upagata, obtaining, manyu, anger, didhakshu, one desiring to burn, Iva, light, Papena, sinful, Chakshusha, with eyes, Nirikshate, looks at, Tasya, of him, Cha, and Api, certainly, Niraye, in hell, Papadriste, of he whose vision has become sinful, Akshini, the eyes, Vajratundaha, those who have powerful beaks, Gridraha, it's actually Gridraha, vultures, Kanka, herons, Kaka, crows, Vata Adayaha, and other birds, Prasaya, violently, Urubala, with great force, Utpatayanti, pluck out. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. A householder who receives guests or visitors with cruel glances, as if to burn them to ashes, is put into the hell called Paryavartana, where he is gazed at by hard-eyed vultures, herons, crows, and similar birds, which suddenly swoop down and pluck out his eyes with great force. Purport. According to the Vedic etiquette, even an enemy who comes to a householder's home should be received in such a gentle way that he forgets that he has come to the home of an enemy. A guest who comes to one's home should be received very politely. If he is unwanted, the householder should not stare at him with blinking eyes, for one who does so will be put into the hell known as Paryavartana after death, and there many ferocious birds like vultures, crows, and cockneys will suddenly come upon him and pluck out his eyes. So I happened to read this translation and purport. I was thinking of the different instances in the Bhagavatam and also Chaitanya Charitamrita, where we find instructions of how one should deal with guests, and we can take an incident of Jarasandha, because the first thing we hear in the purport of Srila Prabhupada is that even an enemy who comes to a householder's home should be received in such a gentle way that he forgets that he has come to the home of an enemy. So this particular
etiquette or practice was exhibited by Jarasandha, who received Krishna and Arjuna as his guests, which had a plan actually to come in order to kill him. But still, knowing very well that Krishna and Arjuna were his enemies, he did not fail to receive them properly. And it is explained that during the fighting that Maharaj Jarasandha, he would accept the requests of Arjuna, of his guests to agree to fight with Bhima, because Bhima, of course, he was also the very important part of the party. The three of them, Krishna, Arjuna and Bhima. And Bhima was to play a significant role because they would request a charity that Maharaj Jarasandha, he would fight with Bhima. And it is explained that during this fighting, which was executed in a hand-to-hand combat, like one-on-one combat, it is said that because Bhima and Jarasandha, they were practically equal in strength, that no one could gain the upper hand. So this fighting, it described that it went on for several days. And during the day, they would fight, and then in the evening time, then they would be invited by Jarasandha to come to his home, and they would have friendly talks, and they would also eat together. So this is quite astounding to see that even while fighting during the daytime, they would not fail to be courteous and polite in the evening. So this is actually a quite remarkable thing that we find described in Krishna book. That how very well trained the people were in the culture, in the Vedic culture, that they would be able to deal in a courteous way even with an enemy in such a fashion. So this we take note of. And the next instance of guest reception, which tells us practically how we should receive guests, is found also in the 10th canto. It is where we find in the 10th canto, there's one chapter where Arjuna, he kidnaps Subhadra Devi. And after having narrated this story to Maharaj Parikshit, Maharaj Parikshit is eager to know something further. So Shukadeva Goswami, he goes on to describe Krishna and his associates, which are a number of sages headed by Narada. They go to visit two devotees. And these two devotees, they are situated in Mithila. And the first devotee is named Bahulasva, which is the king. He's the king of Mithila. And there's the Brahmana by the name Shrutadev. So it is explained when Lord Krishna, he enters the city of the king Bahulasva. Then both of them, both the king Bahulasva and the Brahmana Shrutadev, they request the king that they should come to his home. So it's described that both of them are actually pure devotees. So Krishna, he does makes an arrangement in that way that he goes to both houses, that he makes an expansion of himself, as we hear the Lord, he makes an expansion of himself in the Brahma Vimoha Lila, where he creates another set of the cowherd boy. So he creates another set of himself and the sages, and he goes to both the houses. And it's explained that either party, he does not know that Krishna is also present in the other's house. So they think that Krishna has come to my house only, like that. And we hear first of how the king, he receives Lord Krishna and the sages. And it is said, first of all, he provides his guests with nice chairs and cushions. That's the first part we hear. And then he proceeds to wash the guests' feet. And after washing his guests' feet, the king, he sprinkles the water from from those bowls on the heads of his family, members. And it is further described that he offers nice flower gardens, and he offers sandalwood pulp, incense, and he offers new garments, ornaments, and he offers lamps, and it also further described he offers cows and bulls. And after offering all these items to the Lord and his associates, he feeds them sumptuously and makes sure that they're sitting comfortably after having their meal. And then it's described that the king, he grabs hold of Krishna's lotus feet and he puts them in his lap and he starts massaging the Lord's feet. And while he's massaging the Lord's feet, he begins to speak of the Lord's glories. So as we know, this is the first, one of the first two processes of devotional service, Shravanam and Kirtanam. So the Lord has heard all about the Lord's glories. And when he meets the Lord, he chants, he repeats those glories for the Lord's personal hearing and of the hearing of the associates. And like that he offers a very nice, some very nice prayers. So this was actually how the king, he received the Lord and his associates. So then we'll hear of how the Brahmana, Shuddhadev, who was not in such an opulent position as the king, how he received the Lord and his sages. So I'll just take a little help from the reference. Meanwhile, the Brahmana, simultaneously receiving Lord Krishna and his associates at his home, became transcendently overwhelmed with joy. After offering his guests nice sitting places, the Brahmana began to dance. Throwing his wrap around his body, Shuddhadev, being not at all rich, offered only mattresses, wooden planks, straw carpets, etc. to his distinguished guests, Lord Krishna and the sages, but he welcomed them to his best capacity. He began to speak very highly of the Lord and the sages, and he and his wife washed the feet of each one of them. After this, he took the water and sprinkled it over all the members of his family. And although it appeared that the Brahmana was very poor, he was at that time most fortunate. While Shuddhadev was welcoming Lord Krishna and his associates, he simply forgot himself in transcendental joy. After welcoming the Lord and his companions, according to his capacity, he brought fruits, incense, scented water, scented clay, tulasi leaves, kusha straw, and lotus flowers. They were not very costly items and could be secured very easily. But because they were offered with devotional love, Lord Krishna and his associates accepted them very gladly. The Brahmana's wife cooked very simple foods like rice and dal, and Lord Krishna and his followers were very pleased to accept them because they were offered in devotional love. When Lord Krishna and his associates were fed in this way,
the Brahmana Shrutadev was thinking thus. I am fallen into the deep, dark well of household life, and am the most unfortunate person. How has it become possible that Lord Krishna, who is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and his associates, the great sages, whose very presence makes a place as sanctified as a pilgrimage site, have agreed to come to my place? While the Brahmana was thinking in this way, the guests finished their lunch and sat back very comfortably. At that time, the Brahmana Shrutadev and his wife, children and other relatives appeared there to render service to the distinguished guests. So then, the Brahmana Shrutadev, he will also begin offering prayers in the same way as the king would offer prayers. So, taking the example here, or the important lesson, what we can take from these two instances of the Lord visiting both the king and the Brahmana, that is that they would receive the Lord according to their means, according to their capacity. They would receive the Lord as their guests and the sages. So we can take a practical instruction from this, that this, our reception of guests, our practically following this, that we should know our capacity, by what means do we actually have to offer guests, and we should be trained up in order to receive guests according to our capacity. And that in itself is actually not such a straightforward and easy thing, at least not in Kali Yuga. Because in the culture, in the Vedic culture, as we hear Maharaj Jarasandha, how he would receive the Lord, and Arjuna and Bhima, how well he would receive them, in spite of them being his enemies. So he could do so because he was trained up in the culture. Now even though he was a demon, still he was very much aware of the Vedic culture, and is saying that he would even nicely take care of Brahmanas. So even being a demon, he would practice the Vedic culture. So in that sense, our position is much less than Jarasandha's, because we have taken birth in Kali Yuga and we're all confused. Like, we don't know what's to be done and what's not to be done. And that's actually one feature of the demons, that the Lord, he states in the Bhagavad Gita, that they do not know what is to be done, and they don't know what is not to be done. And therefore we always commit blunders, in our personal behavior and our dealings with other living entities. And because we're always committing various blunders, we're always disturbed. And actually, the sages of Naimisharanya, they say that is the main feature of the people of Kali Yuga. They're always disturbed, because they simply don't know how to behave. So, one thing, practical thing we can try to put into practice is to try to learn actually what is our means, what is our capacity to receive guests, what can we do. And of course, to ourselves, we hear of these instances of how householders would receive guests. So we are here in a temple, which actually is the Lord's house. We are actually also part of a household in that sense. We are part of Gaura-Nitai's household. So we are the members of Gaura-Nitai's household. So we should understand that they are the ones receiving